Our guest this evening would never ever go on the Jungle programme, but he would come on the Late Show. He is the founding member of, and we are delighted he's here, from Queen and from, well, I mean, the list is endless. We'll cover all of that. Mr. Brian May is here. How are you, Brian?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Ian. Thank you.
That's nice to see you, sir.
It's a very nice welcome, thank you.
It's a nice welcome, isn't it? Not everybody gets that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I say good.
It was important that I mentioned found a member because a lot of people think, well, Queen was started by Freddie, but it was started by you, wasn't it?
In a sense, it came from me and Roger, who have been together longer than anybody, longer than any of our marriages, and we fought just as much. No, Roger and I were in a group called Smile many years ago, and Freddie used to come and see us play, and then when Smile sort of disintegrated, Freddie said, "I will be your singer," and we went, "You can sing?" And apparently he could.
Wow.
And yeah, but we started Queen together, so there's, in a sense, no one person started it.
And it wasn't just that he could sing; he was possibly one of the most flamboyant frontmen of any rock band ever.
He was. Of course, we didn't know that when we started off. He used to run around a lot and really scream his lungs off. And we thought, my God, is this going to be okay? Are people going to run from the room? He was very kind of unfettered when we began. Yeah, really. And the amazing thing was when we first went into the studio together, we didn't have a contract or anything, but we were lucky to get in the studio to try things out. And Freddie, once he heard himself sing, went to work on himself, and in an incredibly short space of time kind of harnessed his energy.
Wow.
And became an amazing performer. Obviously, he had the instrument. He had that amazing instrument, but learning how to use it is something else.
Absolutely. So he was just aware that for this to work properly, he needed this to be focused.
Yeah.
Less is more, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he remained outrageous in a sense, and he was a front man from birth, I think. He was always rushing around thinking he was a star. We used to laugh, he was just always that way. But as far as his art, yes, he was a kind of self-made man, and it progressed very rapidly to the point where somewhere around second or third album, he could sing line after line after line, and they were so accurately in tune and in time that they would phase with each other.
Wow.
And I could play you some of that stuff. It's amazing. He was just an amazing...
So it must have been quite nice to get into the studio as well to do stuff, knowing that it was going to, this was going to work as it was meant to work, as it was how it was put together.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight. It was there was a tough time there, which nobody knows about, where we were really endlessly frustrated with all these ideas in our heads and nowhere to put them. And during that time, a lot of things happened. The whole sort of glam rock thing happened, and we thought, well, this is come and gone, and we're still here looking for a contract, and it was hard. But eventually things fell into place, and you become an overnight success after many sleepless nights.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, an overnight success after all of those years of work.
Everybody thinks, it just happened really quickly, didn't it?
Touring. I'm always reminded of things like the X Factor, and there's a place for that, I suppose. And once in a while it'll throw up a character you think they're pretty darn good. But the problem I have, and this was typified last week, Brian, when I was watching this and a guy got knocked out. He was only a young lad, and the reaction on his face, and it could have been anybody else, so it's not personal to him, but I looked at this reaction and I thought, you haven't quite earned the right to that reaction, because you haven't gone through exactly what you were just describing, the endless moving around between studio and stage and trying to get this cut and that made and that deal and that signed, etc. There is a blooding that kind of needs to take place.
Yes, it's no use me slagging off X Factor, because obviously it does have a place, as you say, and we've sort of contributed to it in a sense. But I think there are serious dangers in it. Yes, it's not only what you describe, it's the fact that you actually go out on the road and you learn your craft in front of people, and you fall down and you get back up again. And without that process of cutting your teeth, life is hard. Maybe you become a celebrity if you win X Factor, but can you handle it? And can you adjust your life and your skills and your whole kind of attitude to enduring in that situation?
But then again, has there always been? There were the Monkeys and manufactured band. There has been kind of parallels where people look at X Factor people, they think, well, they're kind of pop starlets, probably won't be around forever. And then there are bands like yourself, like the Stones, like the Who, like the Beatles, and there are very few on that list. It must be. Do you have that full awareness of where you are in that big picture?
That's a strange question to ask. And I have a certain amount of awareness. I think I'm an incredibly lucky man. We've had an amazing career.
I say that because a lot of people, I know I've heard McCartney say it before when they've shown him Beatles footage at the time, and he said that I don't recognise it almost. It's like it's not me. It's like another world, another universe.
Yes, it was a lot more gradual for us. We were never really the thing of the moment like they were, in a sense. It was a gradual build for us, and we toured and we recorded and we toured and recorded again and again and again. Sure. I mean, the Beatles' career was incredibly meteoric. They shot to success incredibly quickly, made an enormous amount of albums in an incredibly short space of time. But really with us, it was just keep going, working at your craft. And we built it, and that's kind of what we were. I think we're lucky. We were lucky in the way that we had each other. We had very complementary skills, and we were kind of competitive within that. And we were lucky because somehow we attracted an audience which really gave us a mandate to experiment and never have to repeat ourselves.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. Certainly, as an onlooker, when you mentioned that complementary thing. I mean, it's always when I was first aware of you guys as a band, and I remember thinking, this is interesting because there's a story behind every one of these guys, and it wasn't a case of the drummer taking a back seat, the bass guitarist or the lead guitarist taking. There was none of that going on. There was something more happening, and I don't know whether that was all deliberately worked at or whether that's just the brilliant relationship you all have working together, and certainly had when you were with Freddie. That somehow you looked on, you didn't see anybody as a bit part player. You saw everybody as a crucial part of this big thing, this big entity that was called Queen.
Well, it was a very small entity to begin with, of course.
I'm sure it was.
Just 4 boys. I think the key word is organic. We grew organically, and we found each other. We weren't put together by some sort of higher power. And some things are meant to be. You get feelings if things evolve that way. And I think we found each other by a sort of process of destiny and good luck and whatever. But certainly everybody was in that group for a reason. And it was very apparent that we each had our strong areas, and that's what gave us our strength. We were also bitterly critical of each other, which is quite an important thing, because you're going to get all kinds of flack thrown against you when you go out there, and you have to be strong. And the stuff that we threw against each other in the early days was stronger than anything that anybody could hurl at us. They were wondering why we didn't sort of fall down and die when people told us we were rubbish. But we'd already told each other.
You'd had it in greater measure from each other. That's fantastic.
Exactly,
let me just, because we've got other stuff to talk about, some really important stuff that you're involved with now, which I'm, can't wait to get into. And I know a lot of our listeners have already indicated how fascinated they are about kind of a new face in Brian May's life. But let me just throw some of those kind of music questions that came your way.
Go on then.
Because some of these I thought we'd have to dish out the
I love music. I mean, music is still my life, really. The other stuff happened by accident.
That's true enough. James in Basel says, how many countries have you and Queen toured in?
Oh, I have no idea, but it's lots. It's most of the civilized world. Incredible, really, that there is no place we can go and people don't go, you're Queen, it's phenomenal.
That is a huge.
I never would have dreamed that would have happened.
That kind of also taps into that thing about the awareness of being involved in something so big. I guess it's only when you go to other places and somebody in a place you'd imagine wouldn't does know.
Yeah,
and you're quite distinctive as well, Brian.
Yeah, well,
you're 8'7".
Yeah, exactly.
And you have big hair.
People know what I look like.
That's right. You cannot be missed anywhere. Phil in York says, "Do you know what the largest crowd you have ever played to?"
Well, in the 2 nights we played in Sao Paulo, we played to 500,000 in a very, very large football stadium. So that's probably the biggest aggregate. But I think there were 250,000 also at Rock in Rio. Mm-hmm. So a lot of big ones, really.
That's fantastic. That must be some experience, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some funny stories, actually. I remember in Sao Paulo, the gig that I'm mentioning, the first night there was a guy there from the local TV station, and he said, "Freddie, what's it like to play to 250,000 people?" And Freddie said, "I don't know, I haven't done it yet." which is on film someplace, actually, but it sort of sums it up, the sort of slightly bizarre nature. How do you handle that number of people? I don't know.
Because also, when it's that big, I'm guessing, it's not like in a theatre when there's lights and you don't see the audience. I'm guessing when it's that big, you actually do have moments when you see the audience.
Oh yeah, you do see.
So you are
especially
aware.
Outdoors, yes, yeah.
Of course.
The sun was setting, etc. It was wonderful. We've had some great moments.
This comes in from Lisa in Manchester. Who? See, I don't know if you're going to want to answer this question.
Oh,
Well, it'll sound. You might think it sounds pretentious, but I like this. I think people are interested in this. Who is your most famous friend?
My best famous friend is probably Tony Iommi, who's the lead guitarist of Black Sabbath.
Yep.
He's a very, very, very close friend, and he's pretty famous.
It's pretty good.
and a great player, very underestimated musician, really. But he's a real friend. I don't have that many real friends in the business. I've always retained my sort of private side, I suppose. Joe Elliott from Def Leppard is also a great mate.
Do you know Lemmy?
Very good man indeed.
We had him.
He's given me some hard times in his life.
He gave us a hard time when he came in.
Did he? Yeah, he's very good at doing that.
He came in and the first thing he said is, wants some Southern Comfort. And so a producer ran to the shop around the corner and got some Southern Comfort. Came back, because we thought he's going to just go if he doesn't get his Southern Comfort. So he got his Southern Comfort and then he went, and some ice. And off the producer went again, down to the same shops, came back with the ice. And I don't think a man could have sworn more in an interview if you'd given him a script. But it was kind of just in conversation.
He's no fool, is Lemmy.
He's no fool at all.
He is nobody's fool.
He knew absolutely what he was doing.
Yeah. And it's great, Motorhead is such an institution in itself. My God.
This in from
respect.
Indeed. Kenny in Swansea, what are your thoughts on Queen tribute bands?
I think it's a great compliment.
There's lots of them, aren't there?
There are. Generally, I prefer not to go, strangely, because it's a bit of an odd feeling watching people
You can't go, can you really?
No, it's a bit strange, and I feel really weird being in the audience, etc. But having said that, I know quite a few people who are in them, and they're very good musicians, and they devote their lives to doing this. I wouldn't. Myself, I wouldn't.
Sure.
But I'm, more than happy that people want to do it. It's a great compliment to us and the material that we've created, I suppose. Yes, and it's part of what is out there now. So, very good luck to them.
And just before we go to a break, Denny in Edinburgh, which Queen song do you never tire of either playing or listening to?
Probably Champions. Yeah, because Champions is one of the... Well, Rock You and Champions as a duo, if you like. Because
two of the most anthemic songs ever written.
Yeah, there's
absolutely no doubt about that, is there?
Yeah, we are. Anthems are us, kind of thing. Yeah, it sort of worked out that way. No, it's a great feeling because they transcend music that's played on the radio or in concerts. They've become sort of uniting chants and true anthems that people sing who don't even have anything to do with music. They can be at sports matches all around the world and various other kinds of events. And it's a great feeling that we are kind of woven into the tapestry of life. And woven in at a great moment, when people feel triumph or they feel that they have to pull together, then those songs help them, give them strength. That's a great feeling.
We are going to take a short pause. Brian May is with us, everybody. We have got a little quiz for you later, by the way. And I think you'll like this because we thought, you're also, you're very keen on, environmental issues, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So we've devised a quiz called Queen or Green, and I think you can select the questions, whether you want a Queen question or a Green question. So you see, we're quite democratic here.
Very good.
And I think you'll be a high scorer on this, Brian. I've got a good feeling.
Good Lord.
We'll even look for a prize for you from the prize cupboard.
Thank you.
No problem. We're back in a couple of moments with Brian May.
It's jolly here, isn't it? It's very jolly on Talk Radio.
It's not bad.